Bonjour darling! Today I come back to you with a review, as you saw in the title, of The Cyborg Tinkerer, a novel by Meg Rator of I Writely, a fellow author-tuber. And I'm quite honored to have received an e-arc for that book. I am part of the street team for the novel and I'm really excited. What is The Cyborg Tinkerer? As I said, it is a novel. It is an adult novel. It's a steampunk space opera romance. It's quite dark and exciting, though there are a few trigger warnings about eating disorders, sexual explicit content and violence, so please, as I said, it is actually an adult novel, so be careful if you are on the younger side if you decide to pick this up. Let's read the summary. Gwendolyn Grimm intended to seduce men and women across the galaxy while working as a ship tinkerer on the finest vessels in the Crescent Star system. Alas, terminal illness is a buzzkill. When a life-saving opportunity struts into her life dressed in a pinstripe suit, she is made an offer she can't refuse: become a cyborg and work as a tinkerer for Cirque du Borge, the once renowned cyborg circus. The problem is, a new law has banned the creation of new cyborgs, and becoming one means execution if caught. Thus, no one cares to see the wonders of a man and machine anymore. Ticket sales continue to fall as the circus announces a competition to determine which acts will perform for the Emperor on his own planet, an opportunity with the potential to save the circus from bankruptcy. But the competition has deadly consequences. Losing acts have their cyborg implants forcibly removed, and those who survive the extraction are banished from the circus. As the tinkerer, Gwendolyn is forced to perform the revolting task of removing the cyborg implants from the losing performers. When she falls for both the man running the competition and the woman competing in it, she must decide who to protect. But can she risk having to harvest the people she loves the most? As you guessed, we follow three characters. We mainly follow Gwendolyn, Gwen Grimm, but we also have two love interests that serve as main characters: Bastien Kadir and Rora Lockwood. Bastien Kadir is, as you guessed, again, the man running the competition, the man in the pinstripe suit, and Rora Lockwood is the woman competing in the competition. I was worried at first because I'm not used to romance. I don't mind it a lot, but I'm more of an adventure fantasy myself. I'm not here for the love, even though I don't mind when the love is part of the scenario. But I enjoyed myself so much. I came for the steampunk and space, but I stayed for the romance. And I was especially surprised that I loved a love triangle. It's not a trope that I'm really fond of originally, but it was subversive and intense, and it was believable. And I felt represented in that romance. Gwen loves both men and women, and I'm pansexual myself, so for once there was a badass woman who wasn't ashamed of her sexuality, who lived freely and wasn't afraid of showing her desire, and she was a little bit wary of opening up, but she was amazing to follow. She had agency in her story and it was really interesting. Both the love interests are amazing too. They are The characters in this story, the three main, Gwen, and Rora and Bastien, but also all the side characters, are well written, believable, and complex. You can understand their motivation, either for the bad guys and for the good guys. The villain was intense and I adored it. But just because I stayed for the romance doesn't mean that I didn't like what I came for first, the steampunk and space. The steampunky world that we follow is extraordinary. This is not hard sci-fi, it's soft sci-fi. You have to suspend your disbelief for a bit, like the wooden ships and not spaceships, like actual ships flying in space, protected by weird force fields. And I mean, it's the rule of cool. Like, it's like Disney's Treasure Planet in the aesthetic. In the design. Yeah, so it's a little bit like Disney's Treasure Planet in the design, and all the dressing and accessories are burlesque, and I loved it a lot. The society portrayed is interesting too. The fact that humanity rejects that much such an amazing scientific revolution that are the cyborgs is quite intriguing, and it ups the stakes a lot. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, and the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I read it fast. That's not a problem. That's actually great because, as you know, I'm in quite a slump right now. But the pacing sometimes was a little bit off for me. On a few occasions, I thought it was a little bit slow, and that's the only criticism I'm going to give the book. Along with one point of scenario, I'm going to try to talk about it without spoiling too much, but to explain why I gave it 4 stars and not 5 stars. So as I said, the pacing, but also there is a moment where you will understand if you have read the book. Bastien and Gwen have faced armed men, and Bastien was wounded. Not a big spoiler, it's an adventure story with violence. There are characters that get wounds, hurt. And the bad guy, they stay out of the circus for quite a long time because he was wounded. But the bad guy doesn't ask where they were, even though it's the kind of bad guy that's always on their backs. So I thought it was a bit easy. But that's all. That's the 2 criticisms that made me give it a 4 stars out of 5. And they're, as you can see, they're not that bad. It wasn't a no-go for me. There were just 2 little things, and I still enjoyed myself a lot. So to summarize it up, this is The Cyborg Tinkerer, an amazing adult steampunk space opera romance that has a lot of action, and oh, I forgot to mention, there may or may not be dragons in that book. How amazing is that? So with a lot of actions, maybe dragons, love, an amazingly done, subversive love triangle, and a world that is amazing to dive in. And it's 4 stars out of 5 for me. This book is going to be released on November 17th, 2020, so not so far away, and I will link down below all the links to pre-order it, because if you do, you enter a contest and may win amazing prizes. I will also link down below the Meglator's Iracheli's video about the pre-sale giveaway, and I can't wait to be able to have the actual physical copy between my hands. Like, that will be so amazing. I mean, you've seen the thumbnail. That book is beautiful. Like, look at this. Look at this. It's so pretty. Anyway, I hope you love this video, even though it's a bit of it's all over the place. It's a mess, but still, I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and to hit the notification bell to be notified of any new content I post. You can also follow me on social media, all links down below, along with links to educate yourself and donate and petition for the Black Lives Matter movement, because Black lives still matter, and even though the media and your social media feed may be back to normal, the fight is still going on, and it's important to keep fighting. And as always, au revoir, darling.